Let your prospect determine your presentation. This is a very golden principle and you cannot not remember this. Jack here, and thank you for watching this video. And here I will talk about the importance of let the prospect determine your presentation. Based on the experience I have in the last two previews that I did in Singapore, 25th of Feb and 11th of March. But before I do that, I need you to do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, the subscribe button is below. Click subscribe so that more people can see my channel and my videos. And thank you for doing this favor for me. And now, second thing, hit the bell and get notified so that you know when the next video is up. Alright? So subscribe and hit the bell. Now, let's come to this part. Let the prospects determine your presentation. If you haven't watched my 6 flip chart close, okay, I'm putting a link up so that you can watch my 7-part series titled 6 Flip Chart Close, which is basically based on a preview that I did in Singapore in February 2020. And this 6 Flip Chart Close was based on the fundamental fact that the audiences are most likely very nurturing, very gentle, very warm, very kind. So that's the room setup. So the 6 flip chart close was done for that. So what happened was that in March 2020, which is a week ago when I'm recording this video, I did the same presentation, okay? And my closing ratio was not just 60%, it was 75%, was even better. Some of you may find that, oh wow, you did better than the last time because you have done this second time. To a certain extent, yes, it is, because the first time is my first time, the second time is my second time. Of course, second time, the version 2 should be better than version 1. How many of you agree? Comment below. Yep. So that's why I say the more you practice, the better you will be. Because the version 3, which I'm going to do on 23rd of March, will be better than the version 2. And the fourth one, which I'm going to do in next month, will be better than my version 2 and version 3, which I don't know how it looks like. It hasn't happened yet. All right, so that's important. But the key thing is that I want to talk about this principle. Let your prospects determine your presentation. Because what happened is that in the second preview, the room consists of different groups of people. Like what happened is that the first group are very nurturing, gentle, warm. The second group is not. The second group is result driven, commitment driven, all based on fast action. So if you imagine that I were to use the same presentation style in Feb to present to the March group, do you think I would get 75% closing ratio? Of course not. This is why I said you let your prospect determine your presentation. So this group, what I did, now I don't have a 6 flip chart close like what I did for the first one. This one, basically, I just harp on 2 facts. Commitment. Let me give you something to help you produce result. Commitment, result, which is what the value was they want to subscribe or believe. So that's one thing I have done. I've done well because I loved to always profile my audiences. Profile my audiences in advance. Now I have got special tool that allows me to do that online. I've also got offline tool that allows me to do this before the presentation. And I love to do that all the time, not because I want to play with it, because I want to see what's the room setting or composition for that day or for that period. Because my pitch, my presentation style would change based on what is the composition of the room. This is how flexible I am, to be frank. All right. So let's say in this group we talk about being committed, being action-driven, result-driven. So all I'm saying is talking about the word commitment. So that is the script that I use. So there are a few things about commitment. Number one, how many of you have heard that passion is important? Like I always believe that passion is a very good motivator, but passion itself is not anything. And instead of you searching for passion, you know what? Passion is something that comes from within. Then I will showcase my gym example. Like Jack has never in his life talked about gym, But how many of you actually are going to gym or exercise right now? And then I said, well, you know what? I never talk about gym until this year. But I want to show you that this is how commitment looks like, how commitment sounds like. The fact that I'm able to go to the gym 30 minutes a day for 7 days a week, okay, it's a commitment. Is that true? And let me show you how committed I am. So I explain what is commitment, and I explain how I produce the result. And then I said that because of commitment, which is driven by consistency in taking action, that's how you produce your result. And that's why nowadays, if you ask me to skip 1 day to gym, I feel absolutely bad. It's like going to exercise is a chore. Yeah, that might be before, but now if I don't go to gym, it's like there's one thing that is missing in my life for that day. So that's what I call passion does not produce commitment. Commitment produces passion. And the only way that you can produce commitment is to take consistent action. So I'm an action guy. I love results. This is my philosophy. So my presentation changes because of that, because I keep using commitment. Then I talk about my productivity. Like how many of you consider yourself very busy, but then you don't produce any substantial result? For example, you can be busy, but you do not actually do the right thing at the right time, therefore you don't have the right result. But what if you are being productive? By spending less time but maximizing your output, you become more productive. And by being more productive, you also understand you won't feel overwhelmed. So therefore, while you may be very committed to generate results, but here the belief is that I have to be busy. So let me tell you what not to do so that you're not busy most of the time. So then I talk about my principle of priority. So I have a video about principle of priority. You may want to check this out. I also talk about time blocking. So then I showcase like my time block of how I generate social media contents, how I go to gym, how I create these YouTube digital assets. And some of them freak out. Honestly, they all freak out and say, oh my God, you have done so much every single day. Yeah, it's not a lot. Actually, I can manage it because I'm using these two principles. So you can do it too. Take it, use it, and create results. So now this is how we build the trust. So my 3 hours, all I did was I talked about these two things. Result, commitment, action, done. So there's like no more 6 flip chart close like is I don't talk about that anymore in the second preview. Not because I can't, because the room consists of a different group of people. So what is lesson that I have learned? Number 1, flexibility is the key. Why? Because if you are not flexible, if you are fixated in your mind that every time, no matter what is the room, you have to use the same presentation. There could be one day you do very well, but there could be another day that you do not so well. Because you are speaking to different groups of audiences the same way. So you may work for one group, you may not work for the other group. So flexibility is important. Number 2, be prepared to have more than one presentation of your product or your service or your preview. Right? This is what we always talk about. Let prospect determine your presentation. How many of you have more than one set or one version of preview that you are doing for your program? 1. You know what? You got to have at least 4. Why? Simply put, because you may come across next time another group of people. Like, what if you have a group of people, they come in, they all talk about one thing: risk, framework, structure, processes. Then whatever I did on the second preview or the first preview would not work. Why? Because these are not, like commitment result is not what this group is looking for. Being harmonious, being nurturing is not what this group is looking for. All they want is the framework, structure, and risk mitigation. So then you see the pitch has to be very different. So you must be prepared to have at least 4 presentation style of your current presentation. That's very important. And number 3, there's nothing called mistake. Really, there's nothing called mistake, because what happens is that if you do not figure out the profile of your audiences correctly and you have a bad day, it's just a learning experience. There's no mistake. Mistake is that you learn something and you don't rectify it and continue making the same mistake. That is actually a mistake. The mistake of not rectifying is a mistake. But once you know that this style doesn't work with this group of people, that's a learning point for you to rectify. Next time you will be a better presenter. Does that make sense? So flexibility, have at least 4 presentation style for your presentation, and there's no such thing called mistake. Are the 3 driving principles of me backing up this idea called let your prospect determine your presentation. All right? So I hope that you find this video useful. Remember, whatever I said here in this video will only work when you work it. Okay? So if you do have any other questions on speaking, training, and presentation or facilitation, comment below. I may consider answering some of your questions in the form of future videos. All right? So my name is Jack Wong, and hope our path crosses some days, sometimes in future, either physically or in the form of videos. Till then we next meet, I'm signing off now. All good wishes.